Good morning, guys. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Just going over a quick review for December 10th, 2013, Tuesday's trading. So in the morning, I've posted the market preview that I did, and I've posted that. It's now also on this. It's going to be on this blog as well, right below this video. So for those of you who want to take a look at the details as I went through them, but the primary concept from yesterday was that with the gap down, it gave an opportunity for sellers to come in and push lower. There were two keys to that, to making that work. The first was we had to push below Globex lows, okay, which was 1802.50. And then the next thing that had to occur was that we needed to push below 1802.50 and then proceed to get below and hold under 1800. Obviously, you can see the open here. We opened above Globex lows, and we actually weren't able to test Globex lows. We did actually penetrate slightly below them, but it wasn't until the New York lunch hour right in here, and it was fairly late in the morning to get that test. So there was a couple of challenges yesterday. So the first was I'd also mentioned on the open that the tick would probably open fairly negatively, and that shorting out of the gate, and this is a 1-minute chart that we're looking at, shorting out of the gate would be a bad idea. Not that it couldn't go down, but that just the odds were not with you. When you short, we ended up with a negative 600 tick. And what I had said was you want at least a 0 tick reading, right? Why? Because on trend days down or trend days up, often 0 tick will give you a fantastic entry, long or short. However, we didn't end up with a trend day. But if you look, right, eager shorts who thought, wow, we're going to roll over, this is it, right? They took their short right in here. Okay, so that's 1803, and they had to take heat all the way up to 1806, right? Versus had you waited right here, okay, till we had your first 0 touch, it certainly wouldn't have got you in at the high or even at the white zone, which is what we were targeting for a short, right? But it would have gotten you a whole lot closer to 1806 and gave you less heat, and actually gave you an opportunity, if you could be patient enough, right, to get a 2 to 3 point trade to the downside. Now, this trade is not in my trade plan. We did not have an open drive down. There was a lot of things that told me this was not trend day down. And so that trade is, I only elect that trade when when I have definite signs of a trend day, and we did not have that. And I said it in the preview that I would short the first move up into gap fill. Now, I did just that. Actually, I went a tick in front because I didn't get hit right here, and I came back in and went a tick in front. And so my risk, and you'll notice, and I tweeted this out, I'm pretty sure I put this out over StockTwits and Twitter. I might have only put it out over my client's private Twitter feed. But what I said was, because I took it a tick in front, right, that added a tick of risk to my trade. My stop still needed to be appropriate, and my stop was actually 2 points behind the back of the white zone, which put me up at 1811, which, as you can see, gave me plenty of room. So let's go back to briefly where I mismanaged this trade. So what had happened was, after we got up in here, right after 9 o'clock, the market stalled, right? And we can see that I could not get a 2-point extension down in here. And usually what I'm trying to do, if I take a short at 1807, my first scale is almost always at 2 points, which means I needed 1805, and technically I needed 1804 and 3/4 because I went a tick in front of the zone. I even adjusted to get a 7-tick scale, and I just couldn't manage it. We spent an extended amount of time. I entered this trade just after 9 o'clock, and by 9:30 I still had not achieved my 2 points. I keep stats on how long it takes my trades to work, and 30 minutes is a lot longer than it normally takes for me to get my first 2-point scale. So I took what ended up being 3 ticks. Most of my clients ended up getting 4 ticks as a scale. And then the way I decided to manage that was just I was going to pull it down to the high, and if we had penetrated that high, I was just going to be stopped out for a small loss. That's just how I chose to manage it. It was just taking way too long. Now, some of my clients are totally fine with letting a trade take an hour to pay them, and a lot of them did extremely well on that trade. However, your trade has to do 2 things. First of all, it has to be a reasonable trade, right? There has to be a logic behind the setup. The second part of that when you're trading is you have to know your own personality. Personally, I give myself a B- to maybe even a C+ as a trader in a slow market. I just don't do well with patience, particularly when I can't get a scale off. Now, once I got a scale off, I don't particularly care. It can take all day, but when I can't get my first, 8 ticks, 7 ticks, whatever your initial target is, I really don't do well in that situation, and I really need to achieve that in my first 15 to 20 minutes in a trade, or I pretty much get pretty spooked. At any rate, none of that, when you look at the stats, has anything to do with the success or failure of a trade, and that's just a personal glitch I have in terms of my personality. One thing that is important is that you not try to mimic whoever you're trying. If you're learning to trade, you don't want to mimic them exactly, because your personality is going to be a little bit different. And what I tell people when I'm coaching them is, you want to learn what I know and apply it to your own trading, but then you want to make it your own and adapt it to your own. So I did point out I had a Damien in particular did very well on this trade. He was very patient, and he's great at being patient. So, and he ended up getting his first scale, and I'm not sure if he left a trailer or not, but I know that the worst he did was 1805 on that trade, and so congratulations to him. Really, that's about it. There was one other part here that I wanted to point out for the day, and then I'm going to wrap it up because there just wasn't a whole lot to this day. We were just in a tight, narrow range, right? When we got down here, I usually don't take the time to point out. This was the second move into this 1803 area with the Globex low. And what I had pointed out, I guess I put this out on my private Twitter because I did not put this out on the public stream. I simply said I was passing on this trade. Actually had an appointment that would not let me focus on this trade, so I didn't take it. But I did point out that the second trades can work. And if you look right here, this is this move right here, right? While it wasn't quite the low of the day, if you look as we moved in here, we did have clear tick divergence. This is a 1 minute chart. Okay, now tick divergence doesn't always work, but tick divergence with trade location is a high odds trade. So I didn't have time to pay the proper attention to it. I did not take the trade. I had a it just wasn't there for me yesterday. So I had an appointment that I had to make right after that. So at any rate, that's what I wanted to point out. And you did get a nice rotation here. It did mark the low of the day. The other thing that I wanted to point out here really quickly, and I apologize because I'm rushing through this a bit, was that if you look here, sometimes a trend line can give you an indication that we're going to break, but sometimes it doesn't. And if you look right here, and it's easier to see on a 5 minute, so let me pull up a 5 minute here real quick. Okay, and if you'll just sometimes, trend lines are interesting things. If you look from the prior day, right, and you'll see the trend line starting from up here that kind of cut all the way across here. And if we just pull this across like this, right, you'll see that we held this downtrend line all day long. And then secondly, we actually tried, we had an intraday trendline break that we back tested here. And if you look after hours, if you look at this right here, right, we broke that, and you'll see this backside test. If you look into the Asian session, you'll see that this actually, after hours, apparently we came to a budget deal in Congress, and you'll see after hours this actually set up a very nice backside test and a move up into 1807. We rejected off of this larger downtrend line, and then we've tested all the way up to 1807, and we shall see where the market goes from there. But at any rate, I still think that sellers had the edge the majority of the day. It was easier to the downside. I thought that was a good trading call. The best call of the day was the first move into the white zone. I just simply wish we weren't waiting on the vote for that Volcker rule that the CFTC passed yesterday. It really slowed the market down and killed the trade for me. So anyways, I hope that helped. Everyone have a fantastic evening, and we will talk to you all tomorrow in the morning, 8 a.m. Everyone's welcome to the market preview. Talk to you all later.